During an interview today with Fox Business's Maria Bartiromo, the president said he does not want to send U.S. soldiers there.
We're not going into Syria. But when I see people using horrible, horrible chemical weapons, which they agreed not to use under the Obama administration, but they violated it.
They said they got rid of them.
Hey, look, what I did should have been done by the Obama administration a long time before I did it. And you would have had a much better, I think Syria would be a lot better off right now than it has been.
But today, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad must go.
It's clear to all of us that the reign of the Assad family is coming to an end. But the question of how that ends and the transition itself could be very important, in our view, to the durability, the stability inside of a unified Syria.
Well, the Secretary of State spoke for almost all of permanent Washington. They would like to see Assad go. They're demanding it. Kate Hopkins dissents from that view. She's a global columnist for the DailyMail.com, and she joins us now. Katie, thanks a lot for coming on. So why are you against removing Assad from power in Syria?
I think we have to remember Assad is a secular leader in an area where everyone is run by their religion. He is there to protect Christians. He is the legal leader of a sovereign state, and he is winning this war. He is ahead in the war, and this war needs to be over. There is no doubt the man is a monster. He has done terrible things. But I would always say you need to choose your monsters. We saw from the disastrous triumph of the Arab Spring what happens when you depose a leader, but there's no one there to take his place. And we also saw just this week what happens to Coptic Christians in Egypt when there's no one there actively defending them. Under Assad, women had the vote, women could drive, and Christians are protected. I think we just need to focus on who the real enemy is, and the real enemy is ISIS.
Women could drive. There were basically, at least compared to life under ISIS, some liberal Western freedoms, recognizable Western freedoms under Assad, appalling though he is. Why then aren't liberals in the West calling for the preservation of his regime, or at least it's confusing to me why they're so certain he should be killed?
I think there's a curious thing that says he's a monster, he's hurt his own people. This civil war's been going on for 6 years, 800,000 people died or misplaced or displaced from their homes. People kind of want to react to that and say that something must be done. And I think we could agree that something has been done. Trump's been very clear now, if you cross my red lines, I mean it. But I'm really pleased to hear that Trump said we're not going to go into Syria. There aren't going to be boots on the ground. There appears to be a kind of climbing down from that position. So I'm fully back on the Trump train. Last week I was asking, who stole my president? Where did Trump go? But now I feel convinced that Assad will remain in power. I believe he will end this war, and I believe things can now move forward.
So, Katie, you've been watching this world for quite some time. Simple question. The people who are now telling us that if once we take Assad out, everything's going to be fine, it'll work itself out somehow, those are the same people who told us that the housing market was fine and credit default swaps were awesome. Has there been anything that you've seen that that group of people has predicted correctly in the world in, say, the past 10 years?
No, it's a bunch of nonsense, and you make me sound quite old, Tucker, if I'm honest, saying I've been around watching the world for quite a long time.
I just noticed this. I wonder if anyone else has noticed this.
Yeah, thanks for that, Tucker. I appreciate it, all the same. But I do really feel, having looked, and all the time I've been writing for DailyMail.com, what I consistently see is liberals spouting the same old nonsense, predicting the same old nonsense, giving me polls that tell me nonsense, all to no avail. They said Assad must go, Assad's the baddie, and when you ask them the simple question, OK, but then what? Who then? Who's going to lead? They have no answer. Liberals are basically utterly bonkers.
Yeah, stop getting in the way of our war. OK, really quickly, closer to where you are in London, there was a big fire that burned down most of a migrant camp in Dunkirk, France. There we have pictures of it on the screen. A fight apparently broke out between Kurdish and Afghan migrants. How bad is it? It looks bad. What do you know about this?
Yeah, I mean, well, we say it looks bad. I had a suspicion early days that maybe they burnt it down because they couldn't get 4G. You know, that's what we come to expect from migrants if they aren't treated in the way that they've become to anticipate they should be. I spent some time in Calais in the migrant camp there because I wanted to see what it was really like. And within 2 hours of being there, the migrants were trying to break through the fence to get onto the trucks to England. My photographer was mugged, his equipment was stolen. We were bundled into a shipping container for our own protection and had to be taken in the back of a transit out of the camp. The thing I learnt while I was there is that whilst these migrants arrive, they are not one group. Those old animosities, those old hatreds, that division from back home, they bring it with them. The Afghans don't speak to the Eritreans don't speak to the Somalis don't speak to the Kurds. And the same at Dunkirk, it was the Kurds that were setting fire to the huts, going in, throwing oil over the stoves, and that's why that camp has burnt down. So they bring these problems to themselves. We make a mistake when we call them migrants because they're not a homogenous whole. They are still rival factions.
Not the France we remember from junior year abroad. Katie, thanks a lot for joining us.